Imagine living in a city where it's known for its luxurious lifestyle only to be humbled by the homeless wandering the street and residents living in poor condition homes. Living costs have become an issue in popular cities such as San Francisco and Los Angeles, California. When learning how to handle the housing and cost of living issues, the history behind city policy is equally important to address the current issues. Living in areas where city policies have failed to support those who needed help the most adds to the reasons why we continue to face this problem. The housing and cost of living issues in urban homes in Los Angeles and San Francisco have made it hard for certain individuals who are part of the lower income status to find sustainable living. As a result, many lower income residents live in bad condition homes. Low-income residents in California has historically been discriminated against by organizations such as the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, San Francisco Planning Department, city landlords, the Los Angeles City Planning Department, and the Los Angeles County of Supervisors. Behind policies and improved living quality for the lower-income residents in Los Angeles and San Francisco, California. The San Francisco Planning Department designed the layout of San Francisco to make it hard for individuals to find sustainable homes. In 1920, the city had finished constructing its new zoning plans to make new residential light rails and many more projects to improve life for citizens in San Francisco. The San Francisco Planning Department had a progressive era ideology for the city, specifically tackling the housing issues in San Francisco. While the city was trying to build new homes for its citizens, they chose an area of the city that was not so pleasant. These new residential development purposely designed homes for lower-income residents in the dirtiest and cheapest part of the city. We used old warehouses and factories to build these new homes. Homes that were built in these bad-conditioned neighborhoods often lacked many important resources such as school, public transportation, or grocery stores, things that were needed for the neighborhood to grow, making these individuals' living situation much harder. In 1980, the Planning Department began planning neighborhood plans to help sustain affordable housing. Many of the homeowners in these districts opposed these development plans, which prevented the construction of affordable housing. While it's been a century since the city plan was originally made, it is still an issue that goes on to this day. Proving that San Francisco's efforts in solving the housing and cost of living issues have had little effect. Neighborhoods such as South Market and the Tenderloin District have homes that belong to many low-income families who struggle through similar issues to this day. The South Market District has recently filed a suit to developers of the abandoned property that has become a waterfowl hole in the middle of the South Market area. This property is emerged with dirty water, mosquito infestations, garbage, and graffiti. This kind of environment is harmful to the residents in the area. The Tenderloin District has become one of the worst neighborhoods in San Francisco due to its high population of homeless people. According to the American Hospital Association, at least 60% of the city homeless population is in the Tenderloin District. This area has seen little growth over the years due to its high crime rates, homelessness, and neglect from the city leadership, proving that San Francisco efforts in solving the housing and cost of living issues have had little effect. The San Francisco Planning Department isn't fully responsible for the housing crisis in San Francisco. Landlords in San Francisco would use the Ellis Act to prohibit the local eviction protection laws which protected landlord property rights. This allowed landlords to kick out long-term tenants that have been paying below market prices. Policies such as the Ellis Act were designed to oppose the lower income will only benefit the landlords in San Francisco. The Ellis Act was used to protect landlords, but the failure to recognize the individuals who were affected by this policy is the reason for the housing and cost of living issues in San Francisco. Lola McKay was a senior citizen who lived in Noe Valley Apartments in San Francisco for 40 years before she got evicted due to the Ellis Act. Considering that most senior citizens are retired, 60 days is a short amount of time for eviction. Although many years have passed since this event, the Ellis Act continues to affect residents in San Francisco to this day.
San Francisco's Mission District has changed a lot over the years, just not at this 4-unit apartment building on Cesar Chavez. It's been decades since a new tenant has moved in, and Helen Burns' upstairs apartment is practically a time capsule.
When we first moved into here, I was 12 years old. I came with my father and my 2 sisters, and I've lived here all my life.
In 2020, an unnamed landlord bought the Mission District apartment building in San Francisco. 4 long-term tenants, including 94-year-old Helen Byrne, have been paying $3,800 of monthly rent in total for the last couple of years. After many attempts to get the tenants to move out, they initiate the Ellis Act. On March 6 of 2024, the management of the Mission District apartment building in San Francisco sent out a statement that they will not be evicting 94-year-old Helen Bird and the other tenants from their apartment after drawing attention from local media. As you can see, this is the same situation, just different people, showing San Francisco's failure to recognize its housing crisis. While some neighborhoods continue to face the same challenges, it doesn't mean that they aren't working on creating changes. Aaron Peskin, the president of the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, has been very open about the housing crisis.
We have had a growth of 94% of family homelessness in the last 2 years in San Francisco. We saw those numbers coming, and the mayor's solution to have these vehicles towed that are full of children that are going to the San Francisco Unified School District is bad public policy. It is inhumane, and we have the land and the resources.
Peskin is designing a new plan to handle the homelessness issue in San Francisco. As homelessness continues to rise on the streets, shelter homes are facing full capacity. Previously, most candidates have moved the issue of homelessness from one neighborhood to another, which has had no impact on the homelessness issue in San Francisco. Peskin's plan will not only expand the shelter system, but also offer services such as treatment bed and mental health services. Another city that struggles with the housing and cost of living issues is Los Angeles, California. One of the reasons for this issue is rooted in how the city is structured. Los Angeles City Planning Department originally constructed the freeway to separate the white community from the colored community. In 1940, the Los Angeles City Planning Department had a big plan to build freeways to help people get around faster. Most of these freeways were placed in East Los Angeles. The city planner purposely designed freeways through poor neighborhoods, which ended up affecting the low-income residents in those areas. While they claimed the construction of these freeways will allow people in these neighborhoods to experience economic benefits, it was quite the opposite. People in these neighborhoods not only lost their homes and businesses, but it also made it more difficult for the residents to make more money, showing that the freeway construction only helped the wealthier residents of the city rather than the community that needed the most support. The separation of these communities has impacted individuals who are part of the not-so-great side of Los Angeles. Living in neighborhoods where local public schools lack resources and books for students, many families have to travel to distant schools for their students to receive a good education. The construction of these cities has made it challenging for residents to live in sustainable homes, and they have to make more expensive decisions to access these type of resources. The high cost of living in Los Angeles, California has made it challenging for low-income residents to live an affordable lifestyle. About 52% of low-income residents use more than 80% of their salary to pay for rent, compared to the widely accepted norm of 30%. Most low-income residents live paycheck by paycheck and live in unsustainable conditions. Los Angeles leads the nation when it comes to overcrowding. About 200,000 units in the city are overcrowded. Overcrowding is when more than one person lives in a single room. While splitting the cost of a home with other people reduces the amount of money spent on rent, it comes with its own issues. Overcrowding makes it easier for residents in these homes to develop health issues. People who live in overcrowded homes have a high risk of tuberculosis and respiratory infections. Living in overcrowded homes is risky, especially with diseases like COVID-19 that spread easily. The truth is that most of these residents are aware of the risk but have no choice but to continue living in these conditions. It's a choice between living in overcrowded homes with the risk of health problems or living on the streets. Previously, in 2023, the Los Angeles homeless count conducted by the Los Angeles Homelessness Service Authority estimated that 46,260 people were living on the street. For the 2024 Los Angeles homeless count, we noticed that for the first time in 6 years, the homeless count decreased by 10%. Although homelessness has decreased for the first time in years, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors recently passed a proposition that will reduce the budget for the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority in Los Angeles to create a new department. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors want to create a new department to handle the homelessness services in Los Angeles. This would allow the government to take control of handling homelessness in the city. The reason for this is due to the misuse of funds and delay in payments from the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. Catherine Barge, the 5th District Supervisor for the Los Angeles County, has shared a statement about creating a new department that will specifically focus on homelessness in Los Angeles. The purpose of this new department is for the county to be able to track progress and see the effectiveness of its solutions. That way, they can figure out a way to help the housing crisis in Los Angeles. She claims that while there is more work that needs to be done to help with the homelessness issue, this new department will allow their efforts to be better coordinated and monitored. As California continues to grow, most are left wondering what the cost of living and the housing crisis will be in the following years. While there are policies that the government has placed to protect civilians from being impacted by issues with the cost of living, most people often find loopholes. This is why it is important to understand the policies in one's town to protect themselves. As a society, it is important to understand that the cost of living issue is common in many places other than Los Angeles and San Francisco, California. As the cost of living increases in California, it is important to not only understand the policy the government has placed, but to stick together as a community, especially protecting those whose voices go unheard.